Talk about a curveball in the cricket world today.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Marcus Stoinis calling it quits from ODIs. Right before a massive tournament like the Champions Trophy. I'm honestly still processing it.
It's a shocker for sure, the timing especially, right before a big event like this.
I know, right? And for everyone listening, this isn't just some, bench warmer retiring. This is Marcus Stoinis, World Cup champ, match winner, a huge part of Australia's success over the years.
Absolutely a key player.
We've got a ton of articles here, breaking down Stoinis' announcement, what it means for the Champions Trophy, and what this could mean for the future of cricket as a whole. It's a lot to unpack, but that's what we're here for. We're diving deep.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so before we jump into the why, I think it's worth reminding everyone, especially those who maybe don't follow Aussie cricket religiously, what Stoinis brought to the table in ODIs. I mean, the guy was a beast.
Oh, yeah. He was a force of nature, absolutely.
71 matches, over 1,400 runs, nearly 50 wickets. But it wasn't just the raw numbers, was it?
Oh, definitely not. It was the way he played, especially when the pressure was on. A real game changer.
Totally. He wasn't just a power hitter. He was like a strategic weapon for Australia.
Totally. They used him as this floater in the batting order.
Right, depending on the situation.
Exactly. Need a quick burst of runs at the end? Stoinis. Need someone to steady the ship after a collapse? Stoinis again?
And who could forget that 146 not out against New Zealand back in 2017.
Oh, what an innings that was. Pure dominance.
I was watching that match, and it was like he was playing a different game than everyone else.
It was like he was in a video game, hitting sixes at will.
Exactly. That innings really put him on the map as a world-class talent.
For sure. But we can't forget his World Cup performance either, especially that crucial match against Pakistan in 2023.
Right. He was phenomenal with the ball in that game.
Clutch wickets at crucial moments. You can't teach that kind of composure.
Okay, so this is the caliber of player Australia is now missing. And they were already dealing with some pretty significant injuries before this whole Stoinis thing, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. This is on top of an already tricky situation. Mitchell Marsh, who's, vital to their batting, is out with that back injury.
Right, and their captain, Pat Cummins.
The world's #1 bowler. He's unlikely to be fit for the tournament.
So, let me get this straight. Their star all-rounder retires, their captain A&D, a key batsman, are out injured. This is starting to sound like a recipe for disaster for the Aussies.
It's a massive setback, no doubt about it. It's not just about individual players, it's the collective experience and leadership they bring to the team. You just can't replace that easily.
Right, that intangible stuff that can make or break a team in a high-pressure tournament. Okay, so before we totally spiral into doom and gloom for the Aussies, let's actually hear from Stoinis himself. His statement said, and I quote, "Representing my country at the highest level is something I'll always cherish. But this wasn't an easy decision. But I believe it's the right time for me to step away from ODIs and fully focus on the next chapter of my career." What do you think that next chapter looks like for a guy like Stoinis? Coaching? Commentary?
Those are possibilities for sure. But let's be real, he's still young, still at the top of his game. I think the T20 leagues, like the IPL, have got to be calling his name.
You think the big bucks are going to be too tempting to resist?
It's hard to say no to that kind of money, and the schedule's less demanding. It's got to be appealing, especially when you've already achieved so much at the international level.
It makes you wonder, is this the future of cricket? Are we going to see more and more players choosing these shorter, more lucrative leagues over the grind of international cricket?
That's the big question, isn't it? It's a fascinating dynamic. International cricket still has that prestige, that honor of representing your country. But the financial realities are undeniable.
It's like this tug of war between tradition and, the modern game, the money, the shorter formats.
Exactly. And it's reshaping the entire cricketing landscape. It makes you wonder, can international cricket adapt and stay relevant? Will T20 leagues become the dominant force? These are questions we're going to be grappling with for years to come.
Yeah, it's a whole other conversation, and maybe one we'll have to dive into another time. But for now, we've got this backdrop of, a changing cricket world, and then bam, Stoinis drops this retirement bomb right before a major tournament. So let's talk about what it means specifically for Australia's chances at the Champions Trophy. We already mentioned Marsh and Cummins being out, but how does losing Stoinis compound those problems?
Well, losing Cummins is massive for a whole bunch of reasons. He's not just the best bowler in the world right now, he's also a brilliant captain.
Right. It's more than just his bowling stats.
Exactly. His ability to read the game, make tactical decisions, and inspire his team, that's invaluable. You just can't replace that easily.
So to recap, Australia is missing their captain, a key batsman, and now their explosive all-rounder. It's looking like a seriously tough road ahead.
It's a mountain to climb, that's for sure. But you know what? This could also be a chance for some unexpected heroes to emerge.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
Often.
Is there a silver lining to all this chaos?
Maybe. Adversity can bring out the best in a team. Think about it. This is an opportunity for some of Australia's younger players to step up and make a name for themselves on the big stage.
Yeah, to prove they belong, to rise to the occasion.
Exactly. This could be their moment to shine.
All right, I'm starting to feel a glimmer of hope for the Aussies. But let's not forget they're also missing Josh Hazlewood, another key bowler. Right?
Oh yeah, can't forget Hazlewood. He was supposed to lead that attack alongside Cummins, so his absence adds another layer of complexity to their bowling woes.
So where does all of this leave Australia as they head into the Champions Trophy? Can they still be considered contenders? Or are we looking at a team that's just trying to survive?
Well, that's what we're going to unpack next. We'll dig deeper into the specific impact of losing a player like Stoinis, what it means for their overall strategy, and who might be the ones stepping up to fill the void.
Okay, so we've talked about the big picture, but now I want to zoom in on WHY. Stoinis' retirement is such a massive loss for Australia, especially right now, with all the other stuff going on.
Yeah, it's tough timing for sure. Think about it this way. He wasn't just filling one spot on the team. It's almost like losing 3 players at once.
3 players. Okay. Help me understand that, and for our listener, too.
Sure. So first you've got the explosive middle-order batsman, the guy who can come in and just change the entire momentum of a match with his hitting.
Right. The guy who can score quickly when they need it most.
Exactly. Think back to that 146 not out against New Zealand. That's the Stoinis who can demoralize any bowling attack.
Oh, yeah. I remember watching that match. It was like he was in a zone.
Totally. Second, you've got the reliable bowler, the guy who might not be taking wickets every over, but can keep things tight, build pressure, and even, chip in with a few crucial breakthroughs.
Which is even more important now that Hazlewood is out, too.
Right. Like every other bowler's workload just got a whole lot heavier.
And then third, you've got the experienced campaigner, the World Cup winner, who's been there, done that, and can bring a sense of calm to the dressing room.
Especially for the younger guys who might be feeling the pressure of a big tournament. It's like having a mentor on the field.
So it's not just about replacing his runs and wickets.
Yeah.
It's about replacing that leadership, that experience, and the strategic flexibility he brought to the team.
You nailed it. And speaking of strategic blows, we gotta talk about the injuries. Losing Cummins is a huge deal.
Yeah, we touched on it earlier, but I think it's worth spending a minute on just how significant his absence is. I mean, it's not just about his bowling stats, right?
No, it goes way beyond that.
Yeah.
For starters, he's the #1 bowler in the world for a reason. Pace, accuracy, movement, he's got it all. But it's more than that. He's like a chess player out there, always thinking a few steps ahead.
Okay, I like that analogy. Outsmarting the batsman.
Exactly. He analyzes weaknesses, sets traps, and can adjust his bowling depending on the situation. Plus, he's just got that aura of leadership.
Right. He leads by example.
Exactly. He's calm under pressure, inspires his teammates, and just makes everyone around him play better. You can't teach that kind of leadership.
So it's almost like losing a coach on the field as well.
Yeah, and that's tough to replace. And then there's the mental side of things. Losing your captain, best bowler, a key batsman, and your game-changing all-rounder, that can really mess with a team's confidence.
Yeah, it would be easy for them to just feel defeated before they even step onto the field.
Exactly. That's where the mental game comes in. Can they turn this adversity into motivation? Can they channel that Aussie fighting spirit, that never say die attitude?
I mean, they say the comeback is always stronger than the setback. But how do you actually make that happen? How do you cultivate that kind of resilience when you're facing so many challenges?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's a challenge for the coach and the senior players. They need to shift the focus from what they've lost to what they still have. They need to create a culture of belief where every player feels empowered to step up.
So instead of dwelling on the missing pieces, it's about rallying around the players who are there and reminding them of their strengths and their potential.
Right. It's about that next man up mentality. Everyone is ready to seize the moment and contribute.
Okay, so let's talk about who those next men up might be. We mentioned Cameron Green, Tim David, but are there any other players you're kind of keeping an eye on? Who could benefit from this situation?
Well, one guy who I think could really make a name for himself here is Ashton Agar. Really talented all-rounder. He can bat, he can bowl. With Stoinis gone, he might get a chance to play a bigger role.
Yeah, he's been in and out of the team, but this could be his breakout moment, couldn't it?
Potentially. And then you've got guys like Hazlewood, Richardson, Sean Abbott. They're both solid seamers who could step in for Hazlewood. They might not have the same level of experience, but they've got the talent and the drive to prove themselves.
And sometimes that hunger, that desire to make a statement, can be just as powerful as experience.
Absolutely. And we can't forget about the veterans, Warner, Smith. These guys have seen it all, won World Cups. They're going to be crucial in guiding the younger players and staying calm under pressure.
Yeah, they're the anchors of this team, the ones who can provide stability when things get chaotic.
Exactly. And let's not underestimate their ability to just go out there and win matches on their own. Warner is one of the most dangerous opening batsmen in the world, and Smith, well, he's a run-scoring machine.
So even with all the setbacks, there are still some bright spots for Australia. They've got a good mix of youth and experience. It's just a matter of finding the right combinations and executing under pressure.
And that's where the coach's role is so important.
Yeah.
It's about analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of each player, figuring out the best batting order, coming up with bowling strategies that will exploit the conditions and the opposition.
It's like a giant puzzle, isn't it? Trying to figure out how all the pieces fit together.
Totally. And it's a puzzle that will be fascinating to watch unfold. Will they find the right formula? Can they overcome the odds and make a deep run in the tournament?
These are the questions that will keep us glued to our screens. And for you listening, I think this highlights just how unpredictable and exciting sport can be. It's full of twists and turns, and you never know what's going to happen next.
It's a reminder that anything is possible. Upsets can happen, and sometimes the most unlikely heroes emerge when you least expect it.
So as we head into the Champions Trophy, I think it's fair to say that Australia is facing its biggest test in years. But they've been in tough spots before, and they've found ways to come out on top. Can they do it again?
That's the question we'll be tackling in our final segment. We'll delve into Australia's chances of winning this thing, the key factors that will determine their fate, and what a successful tournament would look like for this team that's, going through some major changes.
Okay, so we've analyzed all the challenges facing the Aussies, but let's have some fun with this. For our listeners out there, let's imagine you're the coach. How are you going to lead this team to a Champions Trophy victory?
Ooh, I like this. Okay, first things first. Team meeting, everyone's writing us off perfect. That's exactly where we want to be. Aussie cricket thrives on proving people wrong. It's all about that underdog mentality.
Love it. Turn that doubt into fuel.
Now, tactically, no Stoinis, no Marsh. That middle order needs a shakeup. Tim David, that power hitter we talked about, he's going in at number 5. It's a risk, but hey, high risk, high reward.
Yeah, got to take some chances. Go big or go home, right?
Exactly. And our bowling, well, we're a bit thin, but Stark is still our main man. He'll need support, so Zampa and Agar, those spinners, they become absolutely crucial. Got to keep that run rate down.
So it's like a shift in strategy, relying more on spin than maybe you normally would.
You got it. And then there's fielding. That's where we can really make a difference. Every run saved, every diving catch, it all adds up. Puts the pressure right back on the other team.
Classic Aussie grit, never give an inch.
You know it. No, I'm not going to lie. It's still a huge uphill battle.
Yeah, no one's pretending it's easy.
But that's what makes sports so amazing, right? These unexpected challenges. This is where you see what a team is really made of. It's a test for Australian cricket to show that fighting spirit is still alive and kicking.
And it makes you think, this whole Stoinis thing is part of a bigger conversation happening in cricket, isn't it? Players having to choose between their country and these T20 leagues. What does that mean for the future of the game?
Oh, that's the million-dollar question. Tradition, history, the honor of playing for your country, those are powerful forces. But then there's the reality of professional sports, the money involved, the appeal of those shorter, more intense T20 tournaments.
It's almost like this battle between, the old school and the new school.
Exactly. And it'll be fascinating to see how it all unfolds. Can international cricket adapt? Will new formats emerge? This Stoinis decision, it could be a sign of things to come.
It definitely makes you think. And for our listeners, this deep dive, it's been about way more than just one player retiring or one team's chances. It's about understanding how the entire sport is changing right before our eyes.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And while we've talked tactics and strategies, there's one thing you can't predict. Heart. The passion. The unpredictable moments that make sports so captivating.
The human element. That's what we'll be watching for in this Champions Trophy.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe we'll see some of those fairy tale endings we all love.
Well said. You've given our listeners a lot to think about. And probably sparked some lively debates among friends. Thanks for being here, and until next time, keep those minds curious and remember, in sport, never say never.